The first quality that people often talk about and analyze was his presence. He had a tremendous sort of natural charisma. You combine that with confidence, without arrogance, and then a reserve. It wasn't easy to fully know him. And when people talked, particularly at Dartmouth, about his mystique. And they did. And I can remember a time at Dartmouth where there was a notable co-ed who came to me, and by then at Dartmouth, his name in the Alpha Delta House, sorry, I was already overserved, was Mugsy. And this woman told me that she intended to start a romance with Mugsy. She found it slightly intimidating and unapproachable and wondered whether I could help her. And we'll leave the story right here. These remarks are approved for all audiences. I came to know him as an iceberg, and to know the layers below that outside presence as his roommate junior and senior year. And we lived in the Alpha Delta House, which of course was infamous because one of the brothers had written the screenplay for Animal House. By then, Andrew himself had become Brother Mugsy, and he became one of the personalities that really defined that place. And there's so many people from Dartmouth here today, and I think it's really a testament to how well-liked he was. And even if he wasn't fully understood, people were still outside trying to decrypt this LA Dodgers thing. All I can tell you is it goes way back. I have a picture of him in high school wearing an LA Dodgers hat. Anyway, we were roommates together junior year in the house, and someone punched a hole with their fist in the wall of our room. And there were these squirrels that lived. That's a true story. I woke up at first light one morning and I looked over. Mugsy had this phenomenal hirsute chest. Sitting on that chest was one of those squirrels. And that squirrel wanted to understand Mugsy too. Intelligence. Not far from here, people would say my boy was wicked smart. And he was. He was truly a very smart guy. In my class at Deerfield for the pivotal junior year, he was number one. And to give that a little bit of context, not to sound elitist, because I was far from number one. There were a lot of people in that class that were very smart. You know, there were guys like Dan Graney who went on to write The Simpsons, but perfect standardized test scores. There were a hell of a lot of people that went on to Harvard, Yale, Princeton. But he was number one. And, you know, as we became better and better friends in college, I finally one night brought it up with him. And with characteristic modesty, he replied, "No one was more surprised by that than I was." And then he quickly added, "I didn't graduate number one." And there the conversation ended. But I had to smile when I read his obituary and saw that he graduated number two. Throughout his life, including his life at Deerfield and the decades afterwards where we were good friends, he was so well read, and he was a person that if you engaged him on a topic, he could really talk on a wide range of topics. I wish he was here today to talk about the Ukraine and a whole lot of other things, but of course he's not. The next quality I would really talk about is his consideration, his loyalty, his hospitality. Beneath that kind of strong reserve was a truly sweet and loving person. And I was talking to my wife before I left to come here, and I've talked to other wives of our friends, and he was invariably, you know, one of the favorites because they saw in him how kind he was under him. And as tough as he was at Deerfield on fools, and at that age, most of us were fools at least part of the time, and he would hit you with those one-liners when you were a fool. He was a truly kind person, and at Deerfield they made him a proctor in an underclassmen dorm, which was the vote of the faculty that this was a guy who could be trusted to keep order and to protect the younger boys from predation small and frankly large. In the AV house at Dartmouth, he was a rush kid. He was the guy that spoke to the freshmen who wanted to join the house, and unfortunately he did too good a job. He had too many guys that wanted to join the house. They enlisted me, unfortunately. I had to go tell some of them there wasn't room. But that was him, and he was a great host. For decades here, you know, his friends from Dartmouth would come and chat him, and he would arrange rounds of golf, he would arrange fishing offshore, and he was a lovely host to people. One night, I went with my wife, my daughter, and Pace, and we wanted to make Andrew look good. So we didn't call him Mugsy. We ordered a whole bunch of lobsters, and I went to pay the bill, and the manager told me that Andrew had already paid it. And that was the kind of guy he was. The last quality, and I'm not going to hit all his good qualities, because I know if Andrew was here, he would say to me, keep it short, no one wants to hear you, they want to get to the bar. Was his quality of authenticity. I mean, he truly never hit a false note. And at some point, as I watched him develop in life, I realized that he became a person that didn't need to impress other people. And he became a person that was true to himself. And I think that explains some of the choices he made in life. I think he would have had a lot of options, but he wanted to come back to this place that he loved, to be with the friends that he grew up with, to be with his family. And the last time I saw him was in November. And we came into town for a wedding, but of course, anytime we got near here, we always saw Andrew, always found his place. And we had dinner at the bistro on Friday night, and had a bottle of wine, and I sat and I watched him talk to my daughter about pro football, and I saw that look on his face when he was sort of stunned that my teenage daughter knew as much about pro football as she did. And I sat there watching the two of them talk for a while, and I realized how much alike they were. It was strange. Trust me on this. But then he started talking about his own family, and there were only a few times, frankly, where he totally let the guard down, and he let the guard down. And he talked about what he had been through caring for his mother. He talked about how proud he was to work with his brother. And then he talked about how there was a bridge in town that had been named for his mother, Dougie. And that was the point where he choked up. And of all the different things that happened, I never saw him show emotion like that. But I felt truly comfortable at that moment with where he was and the decisions he had made in life. I think he made the right ones. So anyway, I'm sorry that our lives are less without him. He will truly be missed. He was a unique and singular individual, and I'll miss him.